Coach, I know that you had a large crowd to talk to a little bit. Just just the leadership aspect that you discussed today, and how much that was important for you in your coaching career.
Well, I was fortunate to be around some great people, throughout my career. University of Miami, of course, Dallas Cowboys, Oklahoma State, on and on. And I think just some of the things that I learned from the people I was around allowed me to get to where I was and to put me in this position today and talk about leadership.
I know that you follow the NFL obviously as closely with the Fox NFL show. Your thoughts on Tony and moving into the booth now? Do you think that he's going to stay there? Do you think he may, once it gets close and he starts smelling that grass a little bit, that he may want to try to get back in it?
Well, I think Tony Romo is going to stay with CBS, but he's bitten off quite a chew there, because that's not an easy job. I mean, some people may look at it and they may say, well, just jump in the booth and just start talking football. But he's got to talk in sound bites and in little short sentences. It's not like you can go on and tell a long story. So it's going to be an adjustment for Tony. But I don't think that Tony's going to go back and play football again. I think his health situation is such that he knows that he's probably one hit away from ending his career. That's why he got into television. And I think that's something that he wanted to do, for the long haul anyway.
Now, Coach, I'm sure you do a lot of leadership things like this. Football, kind of, I've heard it's a microcosm of life in general, business. In your mind, what is it about football that creates that aspect of it?
I think with football you learn discipline, hard work, and what pays off, what's successful. Any successful team, whether it be a football team or a company, it's going to take great leadership. It's going to take hard work. It's going to take discipline. And the one thing that I tried to tell everybody, then wherever I talk to these groups, is you've got to eliminate the wrong people, and that's the hardest thing to do. You got to bring in the right people, and then you got to create an atmosphere to where the right people can be the best they can be.
Just to follow up on that, Coach, talking about teamwork, how do you manage a team with all different aspects of personalities and skills?
I think the number one thing that any leader, any CEO, anybody head of the organization's got to do is he's got to have some interaction with the people in his group. He just can't set the standard and say, here's what I expect, here's what I want you to do. He's got to have some interaction with everybody there. I've told every head coach that I've visited with, we have a bunch of them come down to the Keys, and I say, you've got to get the most out of everybody in your organization, and I don't care about just the players, everybody on your team, but your coaches, your administrative assistant, everybody in the organization's got to feel like that they have a part to play and they can get better.
Difficult to make that team one?
Yeah, not really, not if you'll spend the time. I think it's sometimes it's one-on-one sessions, sometimes it's a pat on the back, sometimes it's a constructive criticism, but you've got to have interaction with the people on your team.
A couple of sports questions. How do you feel about the current state of the NFL compared to when you were coaching back in the 80s and 90s?
Well, of course, the popularity of the sport has just been fantastic. It's grown and grown every single year. You look at the visibility of the sport and the ratings, they just keep getting better. I mean, some people have said, well, maybe we're overdoing it with Thursday night games, Saturday games, Sunday games, Monday games. But the public, they just can't get enough of it, and that's why the ratings keep going up.
You've been a part of Fox NFL Sunday crew since the early 2000s. What do you enjoy most about it, and how's the staff stayed together so long?
Well, Howie Long and Terry Bradshaw and myself, we started with Fox 23 years ago, and we've got such a great relationship. Terry Bradshaw is one of my best friends. We talk a couple times every week. We go fishing together, and so I think people can see that that camaraderie, that feeling on the set. We all like one another. We're not afraid to criticize one another. We'll laugh at each other's mistakes, and I think the audience likes that. They like the spontaneous interaction that we have.
Last question I got is, are the Falcons going to recover from their Super Bowl collapse?
I really admire what Dan Quinn and the people, the coaches have done there with the Atlanta Falcons. Tom Dimitrov's done a great job as a general manager. And I think they're going to be an outstanding team for years to come. They did a great job last year. I know they were disappointed in the Super Bowl, but they're going to be an outstanding team.
Coach, you have so many coaches that come down to the Keys. It's almost like it's kind of a getaway for them to kind of just air out, grievances, whatever they have to kind of reset for next year. Your thought process with bringing so many coaches to come down there to the Keys and go fishing and whatnot?
Well, I think Bill Belichick said it best. He comes down every year, but I've had, probably half a dozen or a dozen owners, general managers. I have college coaches, pro coaches. And Bill said this, and somebody asked him, why do you go visit Jimmy every year? And he said, well, Jimmy's been kind of where I am right now. He's won Super Bowls, and so he's been successful, but he's unbiased. So, a general manager of a pro team or a college coach can come down and we can sit and talk football, and he knows that I don't have an agenda. I don't have a horse in the race. And so he can ask me an opinion, and he knows that he's going to get an honest answer.
Switching to the college game, your thoughts on what Nick Saban has been able to do in the college game and, of course, here within Alabama?
Well, Nick's a great football coach. I, visited with Nick on numerous occasions back when he was thinking about taking the Miami Dolphin job. And, he's just such an outstanding coach. And, of course, Bill Belichick's actually the one that recommended Nick to me. And he's done a fabulous job, there with Alabama. And of course, they get great players, but that's part of it. He's an outstanding recruiter.
You also have a lot of experience in the SEC as well, playing and coaching. What is it about the conference that kind of separates itself from many of the others?
Well, there's so many great players. And, we had an advantage when I was at University of Miami that we were able to get so many great players that really weren't recruited. That Jimmy Jones, for instance, was a great defensive tackle for us. He didn't even play football his senior year in high school, but I watched some junior film of him. But Russell Maryland, I brought him down. He didn't have a scholarship offer, but we got some great players from right there in Florida. Now everybody's going down and raiding Florida, and so a lot of the teams from up north are taking players there. But down in this area, football is king. Football. Kids grow up thinking football, and that's one reason why this SEC is so strong.
Also, too, kind of piggybacking off the fact that you kind of work in the NFL now, but how much do you follow the college game? And if so, the draft is coming up. Are there any Auburn and Alabama players that you kind of have your eye on that you think might be successful at the next level?
Well, I follow college football. I love college football. Terry Bradshaw and I watch. We have 3 TVs set up every Saturday there in Los Angeles. And we watch college football from early morning to late at night, every single week. As far as the players from Alabama and Auburn, there's going to be a bunch of them go into the NFL.
Mythical matchups. Some of your best Miami teams. When you see some of these Alabama teams and the success that they've had, do you feel pretty good that maybe, if you go could match up, you like your chances?
Of course, the game has changed. It's a different style of play, but I would match up some of our top Miami teams with anybody.